2 games this weekend, Bert. We'll start, I guess, in the AFC. So you were in Buffalo, correct, for Ravens Bills? Buffalo moves on. They're visiting the Chiefs. How do you think that plays out?
You know, what's interesting is that they are so now Allen and Mahomes, I think this will be the 3rd time that they've played against each other in the play, or fourth time, because they played in the championship game in 2020. They played in that epic shootout in 21. They played again last year, so this is 4. Did you guys know that's only 1 short of Brady Manning?
Is that true?
Yep. So somebody told me that the other day. It's the 2nd most ever behind Brady Manning. And so, if they played again, then they would match Brady Manning.
All right, I got something for you. Last 5 games that these two have gone head-to-head. The records are 5-5. Points scored are 251 for each. Points given up for each are 251.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Right down the middle. Is this a flip 'em?
This would be great.
I think Buffalo should be favored.
I'm excited to go and see this because this one. One thing I did, so I spent some time with McDermott after the game on Sunday, and the one thing he said that stuck with me was how calm his team is and how he felt in the biggest moments this team's the heart rate doesn't rise.
Yeah.
And I think that's
seems his does though.
You can see it, but you can see it against Denver. So in that Denver game, things could
they hit that big one.
Things could not have started worse.
Right.
Yeah.
And just calmly, coolly, the Bills just went and murdered the Broncos the rest of the game.
Yeah.
And you never really felt like that Baltimore game, as great as Lamar played down the stretch, it never really got away from Buffalo. Buffalo seemed like they were in pretty good command the whole time. So I'm interested to see what it looks like in this environment because I think this is the one the Bills should look at this and say, this is our year. This is one.
That's what I was going to ask you. So with everything on the line, and as good as Kansas City is, they only have 1 loss this year, and they've been just towing that line. Could this game, if Buffalo wins it, have the beginning of something where, oh, wow, here come the Bills for a couple years now, and the beginning of the end of the old Chiefs? I don't know,
because the Chiefs
but Kelsey had 7 catches, 177 yards.
So the Chiefs have some interesting decisions to make.
That's what I'm saying.
Number one is Kelsey and they're going to be fine.
You know what I mean? You don't get your 3-peat though,
right? So Kelsey and Jones obviously are closer to the end than they are to the beginning.
Yep.
Jones I think's got more tread left on the tires than Kelsey, but obviously there are 3 guys this thing's been built around from a player standpoint, and 2 of them are pretty significantly onto the back 9. Then you have all these young guys they have on defense that are going to be coming up for contracts. Nick Bolton, Trent McDuffie, George Karlaftis. So you've got what's been a really great defense built on draft picks they nailed, but now you're going to need to start paying some of those guys. Do they pay Trey Smith? They're a great young guard. There are just a lot of questions that they have to answer. And so, I think that this is this iteration of the Chiefs, it's going to flip over again in a year or so. And so, for this particular group, you don't know how many more shots you're going to have at it. Now, of course, because Reed and Mahomes are there, they'll be fine long term. Just for this specific group, what this looks like, it might be a little different going forward. I think what's so impressive about Buffalo is I think they're towards the top of the league in dead money they're carrying. And this is their first year without Stephon Diggs, Mitch Morris, Micah Hyde, who's on the practice squad now but hasn't really given you much, Jordan Poyer, Tre'Davious White. The amount of people that have walked out that building, it's really impressive.
It's their whole secondary.
It's really impressive.
What do you make
of the backers?
What do you make of the team that they beat in Baltimore and some of the stuff that they have going on there now moving forward?
Haven't they already shown us that they
same old crap?
They're good. It's a really good team. I have trouble blaming Lamar for that either. That drive he led the team on at the end of the game. Yes, he turned the ball over, but he really put the team on his back when they needed him to. The criticism of him has always been, can he throw it when they're throwing it?
Yeah.
Right. So can he throw it when it's not off a play action or you're not guessing what they're going to do? So when you're playing from behind or you're in 3rd and long, and that last drive, he was electric. And even the 2-point conversion, that's not his fault.
No.
So effectively he led them back.
Thought he babied it just a little.
The throw wasn't great
because you're aiming it.
Yeah,
and tight ends and backs.
Yeah,
always out in front.
I don't question Lamar coming out of that. Really,
I know.
So I don't know. Like Baltimore, they're gonna have their coordinators back next year. They already went through again. They were.
What are they gonna do? 14-3 again, Bert, and lose first round again.
They're gonna be
same old Baltimore.
They're gonna be there at the end next year. Now the question is, can you get over the hump? Which is the same question we're asking with Buffalo.
Let's go Cincinnati.
Which is the same question we're going to be asking with Cincinnati if they can get back.
It goes back to those quarterbacks like you talked about, though. If you have one of those four quarterbacks, that it's just you're kind of in the mix.
It's like crazy to think about it because like. If you have Justin Herbert or C.J. Stroud, is that going to be good enough? Which those are really good quarterbacks.
Yeah,
too,
seriously. Seriously. All right, what about on the NFC with the Commanders and the Eagles?
Wouldn't you love to see the Commanders in the Super Bowl?
That's what Zoe wants. Zoe wants Commanders Bills. Yeah.
God, I mean, like that would be fun. The Eagles, there's a real blueprint there.
They should be petrified of this quarterback.
There's a real blueprint there for stopping the Eagles. It's just really, it's hard to pull off. So I think the Packers drew the blueprint, which was you cage rush Jalen Hurts, you make him beat you from the pocket. And the problem, like in that Packer game, with 5 minutes left in the third quarter, Jalen Hurts had 39 yards passing. The problem was the Eagles were scoring every other way. They were scoring on defense. They were scoring, through Saquon, and that's the hard thing is the Eagles are so good everywhere else that like the problems they're having in the passing game haven't been highlighted because nobody's been good enough to put them in a position where they have to win throwing the ball. And I don't know if the Commanders are going to be good enough to do it. And I would have said 2 weeks ago, no way are the Commanders good enough to do it. But the Commanders just went to Detroit and won. So I'm excited to see what that looks like on Sunday. And I do think you could see an ultra-aggressive Commanders team that's looking to try to put the Eagles behind early because I think that's the way you take them out of their element. If you can get up on them like 14-0, and the Commanders showed they were capable of a fast start against Detroit, maybe they make the Eagles play the game on their terms.
We mentioned a little bit since you brought up the Lions. Do you think they're in trouble with the coaching staff and the turnover that they're going to have there and coming off of that loss? Like, did they miss their window here potentially?
Maybe, but they're so freaking talented.
Yeah, the roster itself, yeah.
I mean, the roster itself, like you look at it, so their offensive line's the best in football, and maybe by a significant margin. The Eagles are there. But the Lions have maybe the best offensive line in football. Young receivers in St. Brown and Jamison Williams, who's a little bit of a knucklehead, but he's super talented. Jahmyr Gibbs, Goff at quarterback, McNeil and Hutchinson coming back, Terry and Arnold as young.
That was a nice reverse pass they ran. Needed that. Yeah. Really needed that for the
It's a good time to dial that up.
I guess it's not a problem anymore because
it's not there.
Yeah.
It's true.
Jamison Williams is a piece of work, but he's really, really
You call that? He's throwing it. He is not going to read it.
Yeah.
He's going to throw it.
Yeah.
He was trying to grab the strings the whole time.
Decision-making doesn't seem to be his strength.
His celebration was another thing, too.
Outrageous. Yes.
Yeah.
Next level.
What did you make of Boyd hitting the special teams coach? The outward shove.
That was wild, wasn't it?
Is there repercussion for that? Like, that's assault.
I don't know. Were you going to get the police involved or something?
No, I'm not saying that.
He was calling like a Canadian fans back in the day.
This isn't, hey, two guys had, we see it with Big Dom on Philly sideline, and they're screaming and guys are spitting and you're having words and you're pointing. Dude,
I would honestly...
He almost knocked him on his ass.
I'd have to know. I would honestly... I think I'd have to know a little bit more about his background.
Yeah.
And whether or not there's prior stuff there.
Okay.
Because... I don't know, it's different. Like, if this guy has a propensity for doing that sort of thing, that's one thing. It's another thing if it's like this was a one-off and he just got overly emotional and it's a playoff game and
he threw the helmet.
Yeah,
he's already flagged for it.
Yeah. It could be as simple as a guy losing his temper, and if that's all it is, and it's a one-off thing, I don't know. I can tend to be a little more amenable to giving him a pass.
What did you make of the officiating in that game, though, with the the personal fouls with Mahomes, the flop on the sideline with Mahomes?
I think this is the last city in America where anybody should be whining about that. Because
I clarified myself on that. You're no bigger homer than me, and we got the calls over the years. When you're good and games are close, you get calls.
So I have a couple of thoughts in that. I remember I was in the locker room when it was a Ravens-Patriots game. I can't remember which one, but I was standing right there when Terrell Suggs said,
the leg up.
You guys remember that?
Yep.
Put a skirt on him?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. that existed 100% here with Brady. Brady did try to get calls. Brady would work the refs. We all saw that. So I don't blame Mahomes for working the refs. The move on the sideline was a little over. Like, that's what I just...
They have to tell him stop.
They got to do something.
Or we're going to let you get hit.
Like,
next time we're going to let you get hit.
That should be like an unsportsmanlike conduct
a
penalty.
flop like the NBA. Yeah, I agree with you.
And I remember, you guys remember, Kenny Pickett did in a college game.
Yeah.
You guys remember that?
Yeah.
Like the pig slide where he like lifted his shoulders. Like
Mahomes did it last year in a game.
And I just think like that's the stuff where like it's really hard to legislate that. But I don't know if you can like go to the guys and say like, knock it off. We're trying to protect you. And I don't like I think it's always funny to me when I hear people calling these guys whats on Twitter or whatever, like oh, these are sissies out there, and it's some guy on Twitter who played against me in the dual county league who's like saying
right.
that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's like you have no idea like the level of violence that there is out there. So these guys are not that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
not calling him a pussy. Right?
And I didn't know if I could say that word. That's why
Fred does all the time. No, Fred does all the time. Fred does it. Bunker does it.
That was the word I was referencing.
I just do what everybody else does.
But I understand. Like there is a business component. Like the NFL is a business. I understand protecting your biggest stars. Like I don't think we can even compare this to past, like to 20 years ago, 30 years ago, because the violence, the level of athlete you have, the size and speed and the collisions out there. Like, I don't blame them for doing little things they can to protect the quarterback.
Technology, because you're in divisional round. There's only 4 games. So where's your eye in the sky? Where
I have been
Texans hit? They didn't even touch Mahomes. Pick the flag up.
So you know this. For a decade now, I have been screaming, Sky Judge. Like, why do they not have that? It makes zero sense to me.
We saw it right away on
TV. I'm telling you, call the guy down the street, Bill O'Brien, about this because Billy was one of the leaders of the charge on this. He worked with Andy Reid on it to try to get them to put one in 5 or 6 years ago. It makes zero sense that they don't have it. And if you think about it logically, here's this is the best way to crystallize it. When you are sitting at home on your couch, you have the benefit of 16 different angles and crystal clear high definition, right? The reason we see more now is because of the technology, because we have the advantage of the technology. So why the hell are you not using that? Why the hell are you not using that technology to help your games be officiated better?
Right.
Like, and the play clock can govern whether or not, like the 51-49 calls, I can live with that. But there's like the face mask. Remember the Rams-Vikings game where Sam Darnold got his like head turned around?
Yeah.
And it's like everyone saw it.
Yeah.
Like why? Like you have the technology. Just put someone up there, empower him, and have him be able to buzz down to the head referee and say, look, throw the flag or pick up that flag. It's not that hard. And like that would be a way to give them the resource of the technology that you have. You know why this didn't exist in 1985? Because they didn't have the technology to do it. Now they do, and it's mind-blowing to me that they aren't leveraging the technology in every way they possibly can to get calls right, especially the really consequential stuff like pass interference, like when it's obvious. I'm not saying, again, 51-49 stuff happens, it's sports.
Yeah.
But when it's really obvious why you don't use that technology to help out an officiating crew that's trying to make heads or tails of, and if you've seen I almost feel bad for those guys because, Zoe, you've stood on the sidelines and you've seen it. You've seen what it looks like now in the NFL. How anyone makes heads or tails of everything that's going down there from ground level it's a really freaking hard thing.
Yeah.
So
like, I didn't even get on him on the first one because like where he threw the first helmet to the head.
Yes.
It looked helmet to the head.
It did, and you see that flag all the time.
But from behind, that's a quick one. I have no problem with that one.
Yeah. But the second one where you're
pick it up.
Yeah. And you're sliding parallel to the line of scrimmage too, and just kind of dropping. I again, like you have the technology. You are giving the technology to tens of millions of players every game you put on TV.
and you are not giving the benefit of that technology to your officials. How insane is that?
That's
Agreed.
insanity.
Agreed.
That is absolute insanity.
Is there any do you know if there's any traction in terms of the league in implementing
they're
the
they're slowly making that's what replay. They don't want to say that it's a sky judge. Replay assist is the first step to getting there. Now maybe they don't want to pay a full-time official, add a full-time official to the crew.
It's the guy I said
which
that
again,
they put on it.
we can use Bill's idea and like hold a bake sale for them so they can raise the money for it. Same as like maybe we can raise the money for some more pylon cams.
Yeah, pylon cams.
Yeah.
They put the guy, the head ref on the game. He's 6-5, doing Chiefs games over the last 11 games. So he's like
Clete Blakeman. Yeah,
Clete Blakeman.
Yeah.
So Clete Blakeman's doing a game. So they brought in a fixer, Bert. It's great. It's like the
those connected all the dots for Sunday. Yeah.
Hey, if you like that clip, check out more videos from Zolak and Bertrand right here. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.